Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm new here, so please do subscribe, like and share my videos. Today I'll be showing you how I draft my basic bodice pattern. I'll be using my ruler, my tape, my pen and my marker. You can use your pencil so you can easily erase your mistakes. These are the measurements I'll be using. Please take your measurements if you don't have them already, and please don't mind the paper behind. So as a mistake, so I just put it under. First, I'm going to be drawing a straight line on the top part of my paper for a base. I'm going to be naming that the shoulder line. The next thing I'll be doing is to measure my blouse length, which is also the hip line. My blouse length is 22 inches for this particular pattern, so I'll just mark 22 inches across the pattern paper and then go ahead to draw a straight line. Now we have the top and the bottom base. After drawing the line, I'm going to name it the hip line. The next line I'm going to be drawing is my shoulder to nipple point. Some people call it shoulder to bust point. Mine is 11 inches, so I'll just mark 11 inches and connect to the other end of the paper, a straight line, as you can see me doing. After drawing my straight line, I'll go ahead and label it bust point. As you can see, the paper is on fold, so make sure your fabric is on fold, or whatever pattern paper you are using is also on fold. The next line is the shoulder line to the under bust, which is 14 inches as I've marked above. So I'll do the same thing I did on the bust point and just draw a straight line across, and also label it under bust line. The next line I'll be drawing is the shoulder to the waist line, or you can also call it your half length. Mine is 16 inches, so I've just marked that across the paper and draw a straight line also. I'm labeling all the lines so I don't forget where my points are. The next step I'll be taking is to input my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement for this pattern is 14 inches, so I'll be dividing it by 2, which is 7 inches. I'll just mark 7 inches on my pattern paper. Remember, our fabric is on fold, so I'll go ahead and mark the neckline. I'll go in by 3 inches for the neck width, and also come down by 3 inches for the neck depth. After marking my points, I'm just going to use my curved ruler to connect the lines. We're done with the neckline. The next thing we're going to do is insert the shoulder slope. I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. I see some people come down by 1.5 inches, but 1 inch will do the job just fine. So I'll connect the lines to the neckline and we have our slope. Now I'll be inserting the armhole length, and to get the armhole length I have to divide the bust by 6 plus 1.5. That is the normal formula to get the armhole length. So after doing that, that is my bust length is 36 divided by 6 plus 1.5. I got 7.5 inches. So I'm going ahead to mark 7.5 inches on my pattern paper. I also put the paper across and mark 7 inches, which is my shoulder length, just so that the line can be straight and align with the upper parts. Connect the lines together as you see me doing, and where that line stops is our chest line. I'll go ahead and draw a straight line across, then label it our chest line. Now to get my armhole curve, I'll put my tape on the armhole length and get the midpoint. The midpoint of my armhole is 3.75 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it. On that point, I'm going to come in by 3/4 of an inch and just mark the line as well. That is what's going to give us the curve for the armhole. I'll use my curved ruler and just give it a curve. Alright guys, now that we're done with the armhole curve, the next step I'm going to be taking is to insert my nipple to nipple measurements, also known as the bust pan. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5 inches. So I'll just mark 3.5 inches from the chest line down to the hip line. After marking my points, I'm just going to connect them together to form a straight line. So from my waistline, I'm going to be taking my dart from my waistline. I'll go in by 1/2 inch on both sides, which is going to be 1 inch. You can go in by 3/4 of an inch if you want the bust to be cinched a little more, but I'll be using 0.5 inch for mine. So on the hip line, I'm also going to come up by 2 inches, and then on the bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. So with these points, I'm just going to connect them to give me my dart. Connect the bust point to the waistline and the waistline to the hip line. Also do this for the other side. And there you have our dart. The next thing I'll be doing is to insert our body measurements on a pattern paper. Our bust is 36 inches, so divided by 4 we have 9 inches. On the chest line, I'll just go ahead and mark 9 inches. The next part we'll be marking is the waistline. Our waist is 26 inches, divided by 4 we have 6.5, plus the 1 inch dart that we took out, we are going to have 7.5 inches. So we'll just mark it as well. On the hip line, we'll be using the hip measurement. Our hip measurement is 40 inches, divided by 4 we have 10 inches. So these points we've marked, we're just going to connect them together. Let's go ahead and insert the side dart. I'll be taking my side dart from the bust point. I'll be coming down by 2 inches. This 2 inches dart depends on the difference between your half length for the front and your half length for the back. Your half length for the back is 14 and my half length for the front is 16 inches. So 16 minus 14 is 2. From the bust point, I'll be coming out by 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and connect the line together from the bust point and the other side dart. Some people's half length difference of the back and front is 1 inch, some 1.5 inches. It all depends on your body structure. Mine is 2 inches, that's why I took out 2 inches from the bust point to the waistline to get my side dart. The next thing I'll be doing is to add the extra extension by the side dart, so we have enough allowance on the fabric to sew in the dart. So from the midpoint of the dart, which is 1 inch. I'm just going to go ahead and mark that point on the dart and then come out by 0.5 inch for sewing allowance. I'm just marking the dart to give it a structure, and then I'm going to connect the points together. I'm going to connect the points from the chest line to the dart line together, so it just rhymes with the remaining part of the bodice, as you see me doing. And then I'm going to connect the line in the middle just to give it that pattern structure. You don't have to necessarily connect this line, but then you have to go ahead and connect the other lines together. Alright, now we've made our extra allowance. I'm going to go ahead and use a marker to just connect the lines so we can see properly and know where we are cutting our pattern paper from. Okay, so these lines you see I've marked out are the important lines you'll be cutting out on your fabric when you are transferring your pattern. We've come to the end of the front bodice. Let's get right into the back pattern. For the back pattern, I'll start by drawing a straight line across the paper, which is our shoulder line and our starting point for the pattern. Then I'll be inserting the allowance for the zipper. I made use of 1.5 inch allowance. Whatever allowance you need, you can add that on your fabric while cutting. So I'll go ahead and put the shoulder line, which is 7 inches, same as the back, and then the neckline of 3 inches width, and then we're just going to make use of 1 inch depth at the back, because the back neckline is usually higher than the front neckline. Just go ahead and use your curve to connect the lines together. After drawing the curve, I'm just going to put my shoulder slope as I did in front of 1 inch and connect the neckline to the slope. The next thing we'll be doing is to insert our armhole, which we measured in front for 7.5 inch. If you remember, we divided the bust by 6 plus 1.5 inches, so we have 7.5 inch, and we're just going to draw that line across as the chest line, exactly like we did on the front pattern. So the next line we'll be drawing is the half length, or we can call it the waistline for the back, which is 14 inches. We will not be needing bust points for the back because obviously there's no bust at your back. So 14 inches across the paper, then just draw a straight line and label it our waistline. Next, we need to get our blouse length for the back. So to get that, we'll be needing our front pattern. We'll measure the waistline to the hip line of the front pattern, and whatever we have, we'll be using that for the back blouse length. So we have 6 inches, which means we'll be adding 6 inches to the back bodice from the waistline. So we'll go ahead and mark these 6 inches across the paper to get our back hip line or blouse length. Time to insert our armhole. We're just going to divide the armhole length of 7.5 into 2, just like we did in front. So, and at the midpoint, we're going to come in by 0.5 inches. Mind you, the front armhole curve is usually deeper than the back, so you don't have to make them the same. You can even do without adding any inch at the back. Just draw your armhole curve. This is just to give it a curve, and the front is usually deeper than the back, so 0.5 inches is okay. So now we're marking the nipple to nipple point from the front. We'll also apply it at the back, 3.5 inches from the chest line all the way to the hip line, and then connect to make a straight line. From the waistline, I'll also be coming in and going out by half an inch to get my back dart. And then on the hip line, I'll also come up by 2 inches and just go ahead to connect the dots together. We're connecting to the chest line this time around behind, and then we're just connecting across the lines on both sides. Let's go ahead and insert the body measurements. The bust measurement divided by 4 is 9 inches, so from that zipper point we're just going to put 9 inches on the chest line. The waistline is 7.5 inches and the hip line is 10 inches. So let's connect the lines together. That will be all for our back bodice. Okay guys, we're at the end of this video. We have our front bodice and our back bodice. I'll just go ahead and label it front bodice and the back. So I just want to show you guys something real quick, something that I said about the darts being sewed in and then fitting the back half length. So when you place the back on the front together, you notice that the length is not the same. You can clearly see that there's a difference of 2 inches on the pattern paper. So by the time you catch that dart in, that is the 2 inches dart by the side, you see that they align on both sides. You have to hold this down with maybe a sellotape or a pin. So that's just basically it. I just wanted to show you guys what I was talking about when I spoke about the difference in the half lengths of the back and the front. So guys, we've finally come to the end of this video. Please like, share and subscribe if you found it helpful, and stay tuned for more videos like this.